Thank you. Grace Covenant, thank you. In a year unlike any other, I want to say thank you. Thank you to God. Thank you to all of you. In February of this year, we met as a family in our own facility. After 20 years of moving with God from place to place to place, we were able to worship God and give thanks to Him for giving us a place from which we could base to worship, to make disciples, and to see the kingdom advance. And so at the end of a year unlike any other, I want to conclude by saying thank you, just as we did in February, realizing all that has happened in between. It was in the fall of 2019 when we celebrated 20 years of being a church in the heart of Washington, D.C. And we also were able to purchase and acquire property for the first time. We moved into that property in February of 2020, and we celebrated with great joy. And yet, within a month's time, we moved out because of a pandemic affecting the entire world. During the coronavirus, so many lives have been impacted. We had family moments, we had small group moments, we had online, offline talk about how do we respond. And I want to thank our health professionals, our nurses, first responders, all of you, teachers. I commend you for how you have found grace in God to be able to serve within the church and serve beyond the church in our community and in your places of occupation. You're extraordinary, and I want to say thank you. In March, we went online, and while we miss then and even now being able to be together physically, God allowed us still to experience community through our small groups, through meeting one-on-one, through having Zoom calls available to the entire church, and continue to have family moments in the social unrest because of racism, the injustice and inequality that has been long-standing in our nation. And we had moments of deep pain, weeping with one another, experiencing anguish in our soul, and yet still being together. In those moments, we're still a community that is thriving together. And I want to thank you for your faithfulness through all of that, being people with a heart for God and God's heart for people. Thank you for your faithful service to Him, and thank you for your faithful giving. Because of your faithful giving, specifically your tithes and your offering, we were able to raise the money that we needed for a down payment on the property that we now have possession of. Thank you for that. Because of your faithful giving of tithes and offering, we moved into our property in February of this year. Because of your faithful giving, we've seen lives change. Nearly 50 people have become new members at Grace Covenant Church. Some of them becoming new members virtually. People have been baptized in water. People have committed their lives to Jesus as Lord. And that's happened across the spectrum of ages. We've seen kids impacted through Grace Kids who are new believers, children who've given their hearts to the Lord, teenagers through Anchored in Grace. Even Every Nation Campus, we've seen people commit their lives to Jesus, be baptized in water, baptized in the Holy Spirit, some of it happening virtually only. And we've seen student leaders preach and teach the gospel for the first time. We've seen people commit their lives to Jesus and become members of our church through other ways and means, such as Catalyst, Man Up, Truth and Beauty, through the whole process of Connect, Equip, Go, and Serve. We've seen new leaders rise up in our church. We have new pastors, elders, deacons, directors. Our leadership base has expanded, and there's more to come. Through our Go, Grace for the Community, which is more like Grace for the City, we've had the fourth Saturday of every month at our own building, having people walk up and distributing 65, 70, and more bags of groceries to those in need, helping the elderly, helping the young. We've been able to partner with some so that people could actually sign up and get job readiness, literally be enrolled in courses where they can be trained for specific jobs, and those people are now being placed in full-time employment. Because of your giving, not just your tithes, but your offering, mercy, and other ways of giving, there are people in our church and in our community who are not going hungry. There are people in our church and in our community whose bills have been paid. Not just their electricity bill, not just their phone bill, but their rent and their mortgage, their heat's still on, and that's because of your faithful giving. You need to know that every time that you're giving, it is making a difference in someone's life. And I want to say thank you for that. And even as I express appreciation for what God has done at the beginning of this year, all the way to the end of the year, knowing there's so much more work to be done, and we feel poised to go into 2021 and to build together, I want to remind you of something you know. Jesus said this, I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not prove stronger than it. Jesus is the one who is building his church. We are his building. You, me, all of us as brothers and sisters of Grace Covenant Church, we're part of his building. His building throughout the city, throughout the nation. Jesus is building his church. And he says this, the gates of hell, or the gates of Hades, meaning the powers of death, will not prove stronger than the church that he's building. In 2020, we've experienced so much. And I want you to know that the power of death will not prove stronger than the church that God is building. We were built for this. And I want to encourage you that as his building, we are living stones, and no stone can survive alone. I want to encourage you to really understand the importance of being a part of community right now. There is so much that wants to pull us apart, away from God, away from one another. And I want you to know that the Holy Spirit is the one who is drawing us to himself and to one another. And though there is power against us, it will not prove stronger than what Christ is building. Make sure you're not living alone. Be in community. Be intentional. Just say, God, I need your help to draw closer to you and to draw closer to family. Because we need one another now more than ever. And the community and city we're called to serve needs us. So let's be together so we can be more for others. I love you. God bless you.